Hello and welcome to the Propelling Business Excellence Podcast. Today I have Jeff Decore from DTC Products Inc. I'm very excited to have you here, Jeff. I am very intrigued with how the manufacturing companies are working. I know you have a patent, and I'm not going to try to explain it because I'm going to explain it wrong here. So thank you very much, Jeff, joining us here. He's the co-founder of DTC Products. With this, Jeff, would welcome, and would you
Thank
kick us
you.
off and give us introduction of what you do and how you got started?
Yeah, so as you said, I'm Jeff Decore. As far as the company, DTC Products was created to solve a problem. In the metal stamping industry, slugs pull when stamping, whether it's steel, aluminum, stainless, copper, brass. So in a punch press, a strip goes through the die. The slugs pull back onto the die surface, causing damage to the strip, damage to the part that's supposed to come out the end of the die, and could cause expensive die damage in general. So this problem existed in the industry for many, many years. And the solution is putting in a couple grooves into the die cavity, which will create interference with the slug to keep the slug in the cavity so it doesn't pull back out from the vacuum of the punch. So we created the only portable machine that can actually put slug grooves into a die cavity. So this machine is patented basically worldwide. We've worked many years on the product, coming up with the easy use, making it portable and everything else. And then also coming up with these settings of how deep to put the groove, what angle to put the groove, what diameter wheel to use to put the groove in. And we did some testing. We worked with a company, Decore, which builds stamping dies, runs stamping dies, and working with their dies that they created, where they do about 50 to 70 dies a year. We created this product, tested it in their dies by putting the grooves in, and then developed and figured out that this works.
That's amazing. So you have the patent, and this type of technology is not being built anywhere else in the world?
So the slug retention was a patent that came out back in like 1982. I believe the patent ran out in year 2010. But what that patent was for was you had to send a block or a bushing or a detail to the company, and there was this huge machine that would put the groove in. So now it took time, it cost a lot of money, and you basically couldn't run production while you're waiting for this block to be shipped, whether it was Germany or the US, to get the groove put in. So that was a huge issue if you're running into a problem with slugs pulling in your stamping operation. All of a sudden you got downtime now for weeks or months, and you have to make parts. So slug retention existed, but we own the patent on a portable way to put it in.
That's amazing. And you said it saves them weeks or months of time?
Yeah, so basically, if you had to take a item, take the die out of the press, and then take the die apart, that's going to be 1 to 2 days. Then you have to ship the item to, let's just say you're in the US and the company in the US that can do the slug retentions there. You ship it there. Now you got a week backlog before they work on it. Then they ship it back. So now you're down 1 to 2 weeks. Then you got to put the die back together, which would take a day. Then go back into the punch press, put the coil line up, and then make
Yeah.
parts. So you've lost lots of time and thousands of production hours of, that you could be producing parts.
That's amazing. So tell us more about who your customers are.
So we sell the slug retention machine, which we call the Slug Keeper, to any metal stamping company. So if you actually went on our website, slugkeeper.com, you would see that it doesn't say seven, but 7 of the Ford Motors plants have a Slug Keeper. Toyota has it. Some of the other Molex, some of the large stamping companies, I'd say most of them have it. Pretty much any metal stamping company should have one to stop slugs from pulling. Besides just metal stamping companies, the company that builds the dies, so the companies that are manufacturing the die that goes inside the punch press to produce the part, we sell to them as well, because now they can add that added feature and sell a die that is not going to have an issue of slug pulling, breaking components and causing damage. It gives them a little leg up on their competition when they say that they'll put slug retention in the tool, and so you won't have that problem.
Okay, sounds good. So slugkeeper.com is the website, right?
That is correct.
Okay, great. Is that how they should reach out to you, through slugkeeper.com? And
Yeah, slugkeeper.com is a good website to go to. It's one of our newest, so it has the most up-to-date info. There is also DTC Products Inc.com,
Mhm.
which basically is another way to see what other products we have. But the main product that DTC was founded on is the Slug Keeper.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. And when did you start your business? I'm curious on some background as well. Like, what inspired you to start your business?
So 2011 is when we created DTC Products. For the first year and a half, me and my brother, basically, we came up with the machine. There's probably been 4 or 5 different, attempts at making the machine correct.
Mm-hmm.
2012, we had one that we felt worked pretty well. And at that time, we started testing it with Deck Tool on putting the grooves in, different material thicknesses that they run, different types of material that they run through dies. So we did that for about a year. And then we actually decided it was time to patent and sell the product. So we went through the patent process and, like I said, pretty much patented it worldwide. And then at that time, we also modified the machine to make it a little more user-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
A couple little features we changed on it during the patent process to make it more user-friendly. So pretty much 2011, it started. 2014 was probably when we really started selling.
I see. And what are some misconceptions about running a business, and how do you actually address them?
So running a business, everyone, at least my friends and most people, they all say, oh, it must be nice. You have your own boss. You can go in when you want and leave when you want, go golfing during the day and all that. Well, now my day starts at 6 in the morning, and some days I get home at 6 at night, and some days the phone call goes to the family and says, hey, what's going on? If nothing's going on, I'm working till 10 o'clock. So it's long hours. Basically, you have no one to pass the work off to. And then the other part is the financial end of it. You gotta basically make enough money to afford the overhead, afford employees or anything else you have. And if you go on vacation, you bring a laptop and a cell phone. And but many days on vacation where the family's with and we're sitting at the pool on vacation, the phone rings and I have to walk away and take a phone call and then head back up to the room to do an email or go online to a meeting or answer a question. So it's not as great and rosy as it looks, but as companies grow, and if you get to the point where you have enough people that are doing the work for you, yeah, it probably would be great, but not yet.
Yeah, not as you're starting out, yes.
So
And yeah, I don't know if I should ask this question here, whether you maintain your work-life balance or not. It seems like you're working all the time, but
yeah,
what's your,
I work 6 days a week. Usually, like I said, 6 in the morning till 6 at night, and
Mhm.
usually half a day on Saturday, 6 to 1. But that's kind of the way I was brought up in the tool and die world. You worked 55, 60-hour weeks. That was normal in manufacturing, building stamping dies. That was pretty typical to work a 55-hour week. So kind of used to it.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think that's pretty common in other corporate companies as well. Sometimes it can go up to 80 hours too, but yeah,
Yeah.
depending on the nature of
Yep.
work.
Yep. I've had some of those 24-hour, 36-hour straight through days where you have to get a stamping die complete and parts out because it needs to be delivered. So
Hmm.
there's been more than once working around the clock.
Yeah. I mean, what personal rituals or habits that you have that keep you motivated? And this seems like a very difficult to get patent, right? You had to work through multiple versions. What kept
Yeah,
you going?
so the hardest part, I mean, patents, one is not knowing how to do a patent. So you gotta get a patent lawyer involved, but the cost factor behind patents are something I never realized. You start with a provisional patent where you have 1 year to go ahead and patent the product. And that's kind of the point where you start with a provisional to see if there's any interest out there in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that first and saw lots of interest from a lot of the customers of Deck Tool, DTC Tool. We found a lot of people were interested. So we went through the patent process one country at a time, and the cost is a lot. On average, it's $15,000 to $20,000 per country. And then there's a yearly fee, which I never really realized. So we have hundreds of thousands of dollars into the patent. We have over $150,000 in the initial patent, and we have yearly $20,000 to $20,000 or more for keeping the patent up to date. So that's one thing a lot of people don't realize is the cost involved in having a patent. Sounds great, but it's got to be a product that's actually going to produce enough revenue to cover the patents.
I see. So you have to make sure that you will get enough revenue, so that will cover the patents. Yeah, that's a great
Exactly. Yep.
advice. And like you have been so successful, I guess. Can you offer some glimpse into what's your future 1 to 3 year plan looks like?
So what we're doing now is, the product's been out there for a good amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people that have purchased it the first 3 to 5 years were contacts of DEC Tool and other contacts in the industry that we knew. Then after that, we started to kind of expand and have some commission-based salespeople out there that don't work directly for us, but they work on commission. So they sell other items and other products for the stamping world. So what we're trying to do now in this next 1 to 3 years is expand into bigger distributors. So I'm actually got a meeting coming up in Mexico to meet with some pretty large distributors in Mexico to try to get them to take on the product line. In Europe, we actually had a company called Date in Progress. They
Mm-hmm.
were selling our products. Well, they still are selling. But for a long time, they were the exclusive seller of the Slug Keeper in Europe. In Canada, similar, we had a company there that was doing the same thing. So our 1 to 3 year plan right now is to grow the company in the sense through sales. We are not looking to be on the street as the sales force. We're looking for more distribution. We can get to more areas much better through a distribution chain.
I see. So growing sales is a big aspect of your business right now.
Yeah, we've invested so much money into this that now the goal is to get, more profitable.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to get more profitable is to sell more product. Because to make, a few machines is expensive. To make hundreds of machines, it's a lot less costly. So now we're looking more in the volume side to start bringing in revenue to start to cover the big expense of the startup.
So in this constantly evolving business landscape, right, what obstacles do you anticipate for achieving your goals?
Our biggest issue today is not being marketing people. We are manufacturing people. We're tool and die makers. We're die builders. We don't know the marketing side of things, and we don't, have the connections or don't know how to, connect with the people on what advertisements do we put out? Where do we advertise? Is the trade shows that we're presently doing, like FabTech, worth, is there other ones to do? FabTech works out pretty well. but there's a big expense involved in that. There's some manufacturing organizations like the PMA and the TMA that we are part of as well. And we advertise through them, and we do what's called tabletop shows, which is like supplier nights and some other the events that they have where we'll get a table, show our product, be able to kind of demonstrate how it works and explain it. Problem with the Slug Keeper is each company only needs one. So once one company purchases it, got to move on and find someone else. It's not a product that gets purchased from the same company, 5 times a year. So it takes a lot of companies to keep it going. So our challenge is to always find the next stamping house, the next die building house, manufacturer to purchase the product. And we have to get in front of them and somehow explain the need of the product and how the investment basically has a payback in less than 6 months in almost all cases.
And may I ask, like, how much does it cost to buy this Slug Keeper?
Yeah. So basically, the suggestion manufacturer retail, as everyone says, is $5,900 US. That's for the unit without the monitor and microscope. When you're working on smaller stamping openings, you might need the microscope in order to see in. And that blows up that opening 200 times. And then it has a monitor so you can actually see inside of it when you're grinding the groove in with a small little 0.20 thousandths diameter groove. Well, that machine is $1,000 more. So that's $6,900.
And why does one company need only one? Like, if they're a big company, wouldn't that need to be applied to multiple machines?
So it's a portable machine that you bring over to the metal stamping die.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the press or in the tool room, the die is in the open position. You take this machine and you set it on the die and you move from opening to opening, grinding a small groove in. So you grind a small groove in like this and like this. So you create a kind of a V, 2 different angles. When the slug goes into that opening, those 2 angles put 2 little bumps on that slug. When the slug is going down, those bumps they try to follow that track, which causes interference, which keeps the slug in the die cavity instead of pulling out. So really, you're just taking the machine to that die that you purchased that might have 10 openings in or 100. You're grinding the groove into all those openings, and you never have to do it to that die again. So that die is good to run for the life of those die inserts. So a typical die insert might run 1 million parts, and then as it gets sharpened and sharpened and sharpened, it's no good, and you need to do a new one. So that machine is only needed that one time to put the slug retention grooves into the die cavities of that die. Well, most stamping plants will have hundreds of dies. So they have a bunch of dies right now on their shelves that doesn't have slug retention and they're pulling slugs. So when a company buys it, a lot of times they'll spend the first month going die by die, putting grooves into the die cavities to stop slugs from pulling. And then once it's all done, they only use it when they make new inserts or new details for that die, then they use the machine to put it in. So most companies only need one. I do have a couple companies that purchase 2 just because they wanted to get the slug retention put in all the dies quicker. So they had 2 people working on it instead of 1.
I see. But they have to move it from one place to another. If they were to put it all together at one go, I guess they will probably need to buy many.
Yeah, so it's a small machine. It's only 8 inches by 4 inches.
Right.
And you just move it, like I said, and you put it onto the die surface and you grind the grooves in whether the die, sometimes what happens is the die's in the press and they pull a slug. They take the machine right to the press and they put the groove in. Like earlier, I said in the conversation that they would have to take the die out, take the die apart, send the die out to a company. This machine literally can go right in the press, grind a groove into the die opening, take the machine, put it back in the case, put it back in the tool room, and you can be back up and running, making parts with no slug marks in 15 minutes.
Hmm.
So it's a huge
And you're good to
cost
go.
savings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
compared
Right.
to pulling it out and having to go through the other process, which would take hours. Even if you had the machine and you had to pull the die out of the press and take the die apart, it's hours. So it's a huge cost savings.
Yeah. This seems like a great, unique proposition in terms of saving time and also adding the value. Um, I am observing similar issues in terms of marketing and sales for manufacturing companies because the business owners, etc., they know a lot about manufacturing, right? They're
Right.
excellent at it, but the business aspect of things, right? How do we do marketing? How do I do? And advertisement sometimes helps, but sometimes it doesn't, right? It's you have to balance it out,
Right.
uh, marketing and sales.
Yeah.
So some of the companies they focus more on marketing and then they don't do the real sales aspect of things. But if you balance it out, then it's kind of really bringing the company forward.
Right. Yep. I agree.
Yeah. So a lot of business owners are kind of like you, right? They're starting out there. They love manufacturing and they're very excited about it, but they didn't think that they will have to do marketing and sales type of aspect. Yeah.
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 What I've found is, I'll go out and I'll do a demo. So I'll take the machine to a
Yeah.
company and I'll do one of their dies or just one of the openings.
Yeah.
And anytime I've ever done that,
Mm-hmm.
96, I think it's 96.7, 90, let's just say 96% of the time, the company has purchased the machine. So, it's a product that works. It's just getting it into the right hands, getting people to realize what it does and proving it. That's the
Yeah.
hardest thing, which goes back to the marketing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I guess in terms of your industry, I know this seems like quite advanced, but um, how are you adapting to innovations and technology advancements?
So, I mean, with us, obviously, since it's a product,
Mhm.
we don't have as much of that issue, but I mean, when we manufacture it or when DEC manufactures it, DEC tool, um, it's cheaper nowadays for them to produce it in large volumes. So because of the CNC machines and some of the machinery that they're using,
Mhm.
they are producing it 100 units at a time. So what they do is DEC tool will make all the components for us and we'll request 100 of every item that we need, ship it to us. We will then assemble them 10 at a time. And then, once we sell 5, we'll assemble 2 more. So kind of the main thing that me and my brother are doing outside of the sales is assembling machines. So basically comes down to putting 10 machines together. Okay, a couple weeks later, put 10 machines together. It's just a revolving operation of assembling machines. As we grow, we'll probably end up having a full-time guy just assembling.
So, okay, so I think you were saying about having some other people hired in also for doing the assembly work. Was there
Yeah,
anything you
so
said because you got muted?
so basically, like I said, along with that 1 to 3 year goal is to possibly add someone for assembling the machines, maybe a couple people on the road with machines to be able to do those demos, because when people see the demo, they buy it and they like it and they understand, wow, this really does work. We really do need this, So, yeah, that's again, the marketing, the 1 to 3 year plan, lots of things to try to figure out as we go and as we grow.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, one of the other things also that we are doing with the other manufacturing companies is that looking into technology advancements as well, right? How you can automate some of the things. Um, I think that has also been working with our technology partners. Yeah. So I think last question here is that what advice would you offer to the aspiring entrepreneurs, right, who are starting out or are facing challenges in their business?
I mean, I have kids and I tell all of them there's nothing better than being your own boss. There's a lot of different reasons. It is
Mhm.
a headache. It is a lot of stress. It's a lot more work, but there's a lot of opportunity. You meet a lot of people, you control your own destiny. And not to go to here, but you also know the day that you're going to be out of a job. You're not going to walk in one day and find out the company isn't doing good and they're going to let you go. So if you own your own business and if you're, in charge of it, you'll know months before you close the doors that you are not doing good, and you also have the opportunity to change that over time. So like I said, you control your own destiny that way. And that's the biggest advantage of owning your own company is you know where you are and when you're going to have a job or not have a job, and you can work harder to try to keep the job and keep the business going.
Yeah, that's an amazing advice. Yep. Is there anything else you want to highlight about your business, Jeff?
No, I mean, I appreciate, you contacting us and the opportunity to do this. And, hopefully, this works out where more and more people understand manufacturing, understand the product that we offer, and realize that they need it. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed the conversation. I think your product is great, and we're going to put out your information in the YouTube channel as well. So thank you very much again for your time here. Really appreciate you joining us.
well, thank you. You take care. Have a great weekend.